So welcome back to Workshop Church Shorts. Once again, we're chatting with Annalise, and it's such a privilege to have you here. So we're going to continue with, you threw yourself into the Word. So Annalise, what I'm going to ask you is actually tell us how. Tell us the how, the nuts and the bolts, because this is Workshop Church.
Yeah.
So we do things practically with our hands here.
Yeah.
So we're looking for the practical side of things. You know, did you make post-its? Did you make notes? Did you color in pictures? Tell us what you actually physically did to get the Word to come alive inside of you.
Well, I just want to say that I just love talking on the Word because it just never stops. It just grows and grows and grows and grows. So before you can read, you must learn the language. I cannot read an Afrikaans Bible if I do not know Afrikaans.
Yes.
So the problem is that we read a spiritual book and we don't know the language.
Not spiritual.
There is a language that is woven into the Bible that we cannot change.
Yeah.
It is colors, it is numbers, it is symbols, and it's like a world that opens to you when you read it.
Yeah.
Like for instance, numbers. 4 is the number of the earth, and 3 is the number of God. 4 and 3 means literally God is working on the earth.
Yes.
So when you start if you want to read the Bible, you must learn the language. You cannot learn the language if you don't know the alphabet.
Yeah.
Now, how do you go? Where do you go? So I have literally, when I started seeing all the connections and things, and I was through Bible school, and I had Bible schools, and I was really in a church where the Word was preached.
Yes.
And I was most of the time, what? It's like, I hear these things that I know it's true, but where? You know what I mean? And for the first time now, I'm like, there. I know that. That's why that. And you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, I love this place I am. So where I started, I really got a hunger for God. Because I told you before that I was trying to read the Bible. Now the Word enters you. And it connects with the Spirit. So he says, study to show yourself approved, God. And I have already shared with you, it's times and realms. Because in the fullness of time, God sent forth his Son. But when he came, he says, I'm from above, you're from beneath. And he was standing on the same level ground as they are. So there's spiritual realm.
Yes.
So to understand this spiritual language, I literally went and downloaded from internet, and everybody has got their own layout, an opinion. And it's like someone says to me once, how do you know you are right? I said, because it's confirmed over and over in the Word, and I understand the patterns. Yeah. It is like when you do math. I mean, if you really got to get a mathematician that is like very advanced, you don't have to say, but how do you know that equation is like that and that? You know, will I go to Einstein and say, but, this equation, So the more you throw yourself into the Word, the more you understand these equations, the more you understand the patterns in your life. So I find myself now preaching things, and I can't explain everything because there's no time.
Yeah.
But when I say something, I make sure it fits all the patterns. Then I know I will not be ashamed.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So if we just start, most people have this thing. I can't say it's right. I can't say it's wrong. It depends how God's leading you.
Yes.
But it didn't work for me. That they have this program that you work through the Bible and you've got to read through the Bible. And I'm not saying God can't use that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a very good personal discipline. But the Bible is not even chronological.
Correct.
Do you understand? There's like, what? So for me, I didn't take the Bible and read it through. I just never understood it like that. And when I started making these connections, I would, then I got a concordance, and we're living in an awesome time of technology where, just get a Bible app on your phone and look up the words and look, oh my word.
Yeah.
So one day, someone came to me. She's a very good chef. I hate cooking. Sorry for everybody that likes cooking. I'm just like, I didn't mean anything. I love eating.
Yeah.
And she said to me, she passes her time in reading recipe books. I'm like, are you out of your mind? How would you even do that?
1 cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar.
And I got it. My husband said, those big concordances he read.
Oh.
Why? Because you read recipes, you realize which spices go with which and which can mix, and it's something that becomes second nature in you.
Wow.
And this is what we have to get with the word. So Quibbers, this is why he knew the word like that.
Yeah.
He read, I think, those big concordances.
Yeah.
I've
Strong's
got I think I've got 5 or 4 at my home. I've given many of them away. Bibles. Someone just gave me a Bible because all Quibbers' Bibles were stolen after he died. People steal it.
Wow.
And one guy got a Bible and he actually gave it to me. I opened it and I'm like, oh my word, look at this word. It is so scratched. I remember this one woman gave him 30 of these cheap Bibles for a birthday present.
Yeah.
He read them to pieces. But if he reads them to pieces, he writes. You can't read anymore how much he writes. Now, I got into that long ago by writing in my Bible, and then I found my writing limited me. And I realized, because I read this and this is what I saw there and I write. So next time I read I went back to and I stuck at my revelation. This is why Quibbers kept throwing his Bibles away and gave it away and kept a new one. He started a new Bible every 6 months.
Wow.
And then you can go pick up that Bible and you can't read it because it's so written up.
Yeah.
So that was his way. And I think everyone has to get his way. So I'll explain to you my way.
Yeah.
I realized my husband understood times and realms better than anybody else I've ever seen. But he never explained it that way. And for me, I'm like, okay, I need to get this. So I started with a spiritual language. 1 is unity. 2 is agreement. 3 is God. 4 is earth.
Yeah.
Okay. 7 is 3 and 4. It means God is working with the earth. 6 is 7 minus 1. Man fell short of the glory.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
6 is literally man fell short of the glory. 6, 6, 6 means man that fell short of the glory that's trying to be God.
Yeah.
Because 3 is God. So numbers, just numbers tell stories. 5 is the hand of God. I've been preaching. I got it in a dream that revelation is the hand of God extended. It's about Jesus Christ, the church, how he accomplished it, and how he dealt with the adversary and the kingdom.
Yeah.
So this is what revelation is about. 3.
Yeah.
The head, the body, and the dwelling.
Yeah.
And how he did it, and people get stuck here. I preached that for 3 years. And then one day I just got stuck in the book of Isaiah. And he keeps on saying, God did this and God did that and God did that. But his hand was still outstretched. I'm like, yes, I'm right. Do you understand? These things that I preach because of the patterns and the rhythms I get. We call them algorithms.
Yes.
So I think one of the first revelations that really came to me was the progression of the tabernacle. you are not allowed to change the patterns, and yet in Hebrews 9 the pattern is changing. And I started looking, and I realized, he's measuring the temple. So there was first 3 sections. Hebrews 9, it's only two sections. And I picked it up in Revelation, and it's only 1 section.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So everything that ever comes to you keeps growing, and it keeps growing.
Yes.
So I actually wrote a book about this, and it's like Jesus Christ, the faithful witness that was, is to come. So now I'm busy in Revelation last month. And I read it for the first time. It opened up to me. I've read it so many times. I think I've been through the book of Revelation 2,000 times. Yeah. I'm so hungry for the word. And here it says, the beast was, is not, shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and then go into the perdition. Yeah. And I'm like, Jesus was, is to come. And I've been saying so many times, you cannot read knowledge into spirit.
Correct.
So we use and we change words. And then we don't get the revelation because we are too clever. Because we change everything. The word millennium is not in the Bible.
Correct.
It's not a spiritual word. So why do we say there's 1,000 years of peace reign? It's not there. It says Satan is bound 1,000 years.
Yeah. Perfect time.
So there you said it. 1,000 years is a spiritual language.
Yeah.
That comes, Ezekiel saw it. 1,000 cubits, 1,000 cubits, 1,000 cubits, and it's growing in height. 1,000 cubits. It's not 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. It's 4 times
perfect
1,000.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's like
4 perfect times.
Yeah, and 1,000 is, it's as long as it's wide as it's deep. So it's 10 is complete. So it's complete. 3 times complete.
Yes.
It's a way of, it's a spirit language.
Yes.
So you cannot say it's 1,000 years peace, it's a millennium. Millennium is not in the Bible.
Yeah.
So he says, Satan is bound 1,000 years. In other words, for a perfect time. And when I saw that he was, he is not, he shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, I'm like, when did he go in? When Jesus said, get behind me, and he couldn't kill him. Because the Bible is actually a book of life and death. It's the seed line of the Son of God, the preparation of the body. It's not a history book for it's a spiritual history book. So you gotta get it in the spiritual line. If you understand that, let's take 1,000. He says in 2 Pt.3, 1 day is with the Lord as 1,000 years. Now, 1 day for a man is 24 hours.
Yeah.
But for the Lord, it is like 1,000 years. So we have this generation days in time.
Yeah.
In time, it's 1,000 years. But outside of time, that is described in Genesis 1, it's not 1,000 years. This is why we are messed up with creation.
Yeah.
Because Genesis 1 is literally the blueprint of time. It's a spiritual book. That was totally a vision given to Moses 2,500 years
After it happened.
After Adam.
Yeah.
Adam was only created on day 6. So if you do not read Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 and 3 and 4 in the spirit,
you're not going to get it.
The knowledge is going to mess you up.
That apple.
You're going to be ashamed.
That apple on the tree that Eve ate. The knowledge.
It does not work like that.
Yeah.
So I would say in the spirit realm, a spiritual day is not 1,000 years.